Good morning, everyone. It's 8 minutes after the hour of 8 a.m. Mountain Time. It's Saturday. It's November 11th. It's Armistice Day, Veterans Day. It's Remembrance Day in Canada. Shane Dobbin joins me, half man, half amazing. We have a fantabulous show planned for you today, so we hope that you will get involved. It's Veterans Day. It's also National Medal Day. It's National Sunday Day. You could go out and have a Sunday, Shane. And it's also, what's the other day? Lost my place here. It's Singles Day. Shane and I are both single, so yeah, we'll celebrate Singles Day together here. So what's up, man?
Oh, not much. I just one of these things. It's an important day. To me, I think it's probably one of the most important national holidays of the year because of what it means. The poppy that we all wear in Canada and the Commonwealth is recognition of the veterans of World War I. And a Lieutenant Colonel, John McCrae, wrote a famous poem in Flanders Fields. And he wrote it on May 3rd, 1915. The war started in 1914. He had his good friend Alex Heimer died in a battle, and he sat there and wrote this poem. You should all read it. It's a very short poem. It's fabulous. And amazingly enough, he suggested to his commander that whatever you decide how to end this, it should be the same hour or the same month or the same day, and they took notice.
11/11/11.
That's right. The 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month. Mm-hmm. It's regrettable that it wasn't the war of all wars, as my grandfather told me. He fought in it, and he was a pretty phenomenal guy. He didn't have any PSDT issues similar to you, Thomas, when he came back, but yeah, he was badly wounded in his left leg, and so I learned as a child at 5, what the meaning of war was from him. He made sure that myself and my 2 brothers were well aware of the meaning.
Yeah, well, I still sweat when I hear a helicopter.
Yeah, it's just it's a remarkable thing when you see a plane fly over on days like today.
Yeah,
the F-16 or whatever you see. You've got to go to an air show to realize how big they are. I mean, they're the size of a 5,000 square foot home. I mean, they're huge.
They're pretty big. Yeah,
yeah,
and fly pretty fast.
Indeed,
they go pretty quick.
That's right.
All right, a couple other things we got to remind you of. Eastern Washington will be at the stadium today to take on the Cats, and thank God they're playing here, Shane, because if they were in Eastern Washington, we'd have to look at that ridiculous red field they've got.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Maybe that's okay in person, but on TV, it bleeds all over the place, It's just it's not fun to watch.
And you'd think it'd be a confusing issue for the players in some ways, They always talk about sunlight, how it blinds punters, depending, or kickers.
Yeah, they put the black stuff under their eyes to take care of the glare. Yeah,
people receiving, the ball or even passes.
Mm-hmm.
So and we all know the difference between fresh grass and that rubber rat's nest, or whatever you want to call it, plastic they use.
Well, the Cats are 19-point favorites over Eastern Washington. So, and next week, of course, Shane, is the Montana versus MSU, the Brawl of the Wild. That's going on. Yep, we're going to have that. That's next Saturday. So, going to be quite a spectacle here, as it always is, except we're going to Montana this time around, so it'll be played there.
This is great. We have our CFL playoffs now, and Vancouver is playing Ottawa or Manitoba for hopefully to get in the Grey Cup. So the Grey Cup is coming, the big cup for football in Canada.
All right. Let's take a phone. Let's take a phone call. 406-522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you're on with the award-winning Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning, gentlemen. This is Jerry. How are you?
It's the great one. Good morning, good sir.
Just grateful to be alive. One more day.
Me too.
Of breathing fresh air. And Tom, thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Shane, Remembrance Day. I always go into my file of documentaries, and every time I look, I see the landing of the Canadians in First and Dieppe, and they just got absolutely hammered in that particular operation. And they were all Canadian as far as I can remember. And they took it on the chin because it wasn't well planned. And 2 years later, the landing at the Normandy beaches of Juneau, codenamed Nan, Love, and Mike, and they took it on the chin there too, and all the way through their progress through Caen and into Falaise. So a shout out to those, if there are any alive from World War II, and of course your contribution in the Korean War. So I do remember you folks also. If it wasn't for you, we would have never gotten our convoys across the Atlantic in the opening of the war, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what my father did. He was in the commercial Navy. Never was recognized by the Canadian government for that, but
that's a shame. That's absolutely a shame. And Tom, and we know when we came home, we weren't all that well recognized along with the Korean War veterans. They weren't recognized. And my shout out goes out to Clint if he's listening.
Yeah.
Thank you, Clint, for keeping me into elementary school while you were over there.
Me too.
Yeah. So I have all the respect in the world for those fellows, because that was a harsh campaign in Korea. And I was stationed over there. And you mentioned something about every time you hear a helicopter.
Yeah.
I was a helicopter crew chief on flying status, Tom, and I'll tell you what, every mission I flew, I was white knuckled.
Oh yeah.
I want to tell you, it's not a whole lot of fun, although a helicopter is fairly safe as long as the blades are still on it.
That's true.
That's very true.
And most people don't realize that during that period of time through the 60s and early 70s, there was a lot of training going on for the fellas, whether they be Army, Navy, and Air Force, for deployment to Vietnam. And I lost a number of friends in training while I was stationed in Florida. I was stationed in the same field where Doolittle's B-25s were practicing how to get off that aircraft carrier. And I want to tell you, I lost some friends, load masters, pilots, crew chiefs, every part of the operation, even ground service personnel in training. It was brutal. So, and people don't realize that there are a lot of veterans out there that may not have been deployed into a combat zone, but yet they did their job.
That's right. I mean, the phenomenal things about war, particularly in the 20th century, are remarkable. What the chain of events, or how anything could have flipped the other way. That it's incredible that 5 months after December 7th, when your country was attacked, that a Lieutenant Colonel Doolittle trained guys to fly off an aircraft carrier that no one believed could be done, and he went right to the president with his idea, and they got out on the ocean, terrible weather, flew off the carrier, and a couple dozen of them flew over Japan and dropped bombs on Tokyo and some armaments. They didn't do a lot of great damage, except the emotional damage they did to everyone, including the emperor, because they got bombed. They never thought that would have ever been possible. So it was a huge successful mission. But those are the type of things that we should remember people for, because it's a terrible thing. War is a terrible thing.
When I looked at the auxiliary runway when I was stationed on that base, I could walk from the line where they had to get that aircraft off the ground to where they started. And I'm saying to myself, I don't know how these guys could do that, but they did. and it's an incredible thing, and they just wound up those engines until the pistons were ready to fly out of the their housings, and just get that nose up off the ground. It's an incredible feat, and every person out there, when you see a veteran, just thank him for his service, no matter what that service may have been, even if he wasn't overseas in a combat situation. There were a lot of guys deployed in Thailand, flying missions into Laos and Cambodia to intercept infiltration. And the Korean fellas, what they had to go through was absolutely abominable. I have a great documentary on the Korean War, and it's gut wrenching when you see it. It really is.
Yeah, so, and I mentioned at the beginning how big these planes are. It's a remarkable thing, because you should go to see an aircraft carrier, take a look how short the runway is on an aircraft carrier for these huge planes. That's why they slingshot them off it, because it's the same thing today.
Yeah.
So not only did he accomplish that for that mission in the beginning of World War II, but it led to the successful launching of planes, the bigger planes I'm talking about, on aircraft carriers.
Right, but originally aircraft carriers did not have any other way but turn into the wind. Hopefully you had a good, strong wind.
Yeah.
And that would help you. The hydraulic launching was a little later, steam catapults, and that sort of thing came a little later in the war. It's just a progression. And that's another thing, too. We have to admire and thank the people who worked on the home front. The production that this country did during that war was amazing. Absolutely astounding.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
It absolutely was. And, gentlemen, I just wanted to touch on one thing. I don't know if you heard this news story about this Baltimore prosecutor who scammed COVID money to buy 2 homes in Florida. And this is it. Wasn't she the same woman who prosecuted a couple of cops because of some sort of incident they had with some sort of criminal or
is that
something
Freddie
happened?
Gray?
Is that who that was?
I don't know. That was Baltimore. I'm pretty sure, though. I don't know if it was him or not, but.
Huh.
Anyway,
I mean, these people are getting away with way too much, and hopefully hopefully justice will come as it should.
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
Thanks, Jerry.
Go Cats. You betcha. Thank you, guys, and once again, fly the flag if you can, if it's not too windy out there.
Amen. Take care. 522 Talk is the number, 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Well, good morning, boys and girls.
Nancy, how you doing?
You're sounding great this morning. I'm telling you, I respect and honor to all our veterans that include Tom, and, of course, Vietnam War. It was the war of helicopters.
That's right.
And my favorite commander, Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore, who I just love his life story, of the 1st Battalion, 7th Cavalry. It's amazing that in 1867, it was General Custer, who was also Lieutenant Colonel later out here on the Plains Indian Wars. He commanded the 7th Cavalry, and the 7th Cavalry was established in 1867. So it's really amazing. But I have to say, Tom, you also had a birthday, so happy birthday. And I wanted to say to all you ladies out there, listen to this. Since Tom is single, he always tells us he's single. The Scorpion men can be dedicated and faithful, but at times they may become obsessive, possessive, and overwhelming. They are extremely sensitive and take time to build trust and respect with their partners. Scorpios are not lacking in initiative, and they consider their sex life to be of great importance. See, Tom, we know everything about you.
All right.
But I want to say, you know what? I think you should have ran for mayor of Bozeman. Oh, my God. I don't know. You didn't have very good choices. And the guy that got to become mayor, who was voted in, he wants to start all this public housing there.
Yeah.
And if that goes through, Tom, I don't know how you people are doing it now. Paying property taxes, but that's going to double or triple your taxes if that happens. I don't know. You got any comments on that?
Well, we're going to talk about a couple developments in Bozeman this morning, right after we get through here with some other stuff. So, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think you should have ran for mayor.
Well, I don't live in the city, so that's the issue.
Well.
I'll have to run for county commissioner.
Well, why don't you do that then?
I'm too old, Nancy.
Oh, stop it. Come on, you're looking for a woman. You're not that old.
Okay.
Well, hey, you guys have a great morning, and I'm going to listen to the rest of the show. God bless all of you, and especially our veterans out there listening to Tom and Shane this morning.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take care, Nancy. Bye-bye. Yeah, Friday morning about 7:30, I had a real scare. I woke up and, Shane, sometimes you wake up and you know there's something wrong. Your body telling you, and I'm sitting there on the edge of the bed and I'm thinking, geez, this isn't right. How dangerous is this? And I reached for my phone to maybe call 911, and by accident, I hit the calendar and I saw it was November 10th, and I realized my problem was I just turned 80. And for the next 9 days, Joe Biden and I are the same age. How scary is that?
Well, there isn't any comparison whatsoever.
Well, at least I know what state I'm in. I think state of confusion,
and you know the date, and you carry on a great conversation. So
okay, so not too many gaffes, huh?
And you see this guy, women out there listening. I mean, he's good looking. He's got this beautiful long locks of hair.
Yeah.
I mean, he got nice big mustache. I mean, he's ready to go.
I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to go.
Well, congratulations.
Oh, man, it's all right. So, 80 is the new 40, they tell me. So I don't know. I guess I'll find out over the years.
Well, don't do it. That judge that, in New York that's listening to the Trump trial and put a selfie on TikTok or whatever.
Oh, yeah. With the bathroom selfies.
Yeah, how can... I mean, this guy.
I don't know.
He's a major case, and he puts selfies on social media. Wow, naked.
Well, Elsie Stefanik is going to file an ethics complaint against him.
Well, she should.
Yeah, and that's going to happen. So, we got to talk about the mayor's race. We got the mayor ran, of course. So we got to talk a little bit about that. Joey Morrison was the winner, I guess, and as Nancy pointed out, all these guys want affordable housing, but they keep approving these luxury apartments, and we're going to talk about a couple of them coming up here. But let's take a phone call before we jump into development in Bozeman. 406-522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Caller, you are on with Tom and Shane. What's going on?
Well, good morning, Tom. Morning, Shane. This is Clint.
Morning, Clint.
Good morning.
I just wanted to say hello
this
morning.
Thank you for your service and welcome home to you as well.
Yeah, and you, Tom, I'm a little ahead of you in age.
I know you are, yeah. I hope I get to where you are.
Oh, well, I'm still in good shape, so I think that I did a lot of swimming when I was in the Navy.
All right.
Anyway, I just wanted to relate one little story.
Sure.
This is a true story. I was on the LSMR 403. Now, I don't know if you know what that is. It's a little rocket ship. It's 205 feet long. We had a lieutenant for a captain that run the ship. And we had 5 rocket launchers, one on each side of the ship. And anyway, when we had the prisoner exchange in Korea, our guys were awful bad. They were terrible the way they came in. I won't say how they were. They were just awful. But anyway, when the Koreans, we turned them loose, back to their country, they were all fed and well kept. But right after the armistice was signed, I took I told my commanding first-class officer there that I wanted to go ashore. So I went. We were right in the bay of Incheon there, and anyway, the ship only drew about 4 foot of water in the bow and about 6 foot in the stern. It was we could go into the Yalu River pretty close to it anyway. But anyway, I wanted to go ashore, and so there's about 10 of us went ashore, and we got in a little LCVP, which is a landing craft, and we went to the little island there's a little island there called Wamido, and there's a causeway between Wamido and the mainland, and it's made out of rock. It was a beautiful wall that they built. But anyway, we went into the town of Incheon, and we looked at it, and it looks the same. It looked the same as what's happening right now in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And so I went into this one building.
Clint, I'm up against the bottom of the hour. Let me hold you over, and we'll
Okay.
finish this on the other side of the news.
Okay.
All right, hang on. You and Shane can talk. All right. All right, let's go wrap it up for this segment. When we come back, we got new developments coming in Bozeman. We got to talk about the Republican debate. We've got Jill Stein is going to be the Green Party candidate. Will she take votes away from the other two candidates running? West Yellowstone votes to ban cannabis, and we'll see a lot more when we come back. Joe Manchin not running. That's big news. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, everyone. 27 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Saturday. It's November 11th, Armistice Day, Veterans Day. Beautiful day, and the Cats are going to take on Eastern Washington out at the stadium at 1 o'clock. That'll be on our sister station, XL Country, 100.7 on your FM dial, so check that out. We've got Clint on the phone. We've got Shane on Skype, so you guys take it away.
Well, I'll finish up and I'll get off. After we landed on a little causeway there, it's a pretty good sized causeway there at Incheon between it and Wamido and the mainland. But anyway, after we landed there, there's about 10 of us, and we decided we'd take a look at Incheon. You know, there was people trying to clean up things and one thing or another, you know, after the war. It's like I said, a war zone looked like Israel's looking now in the Gaza Strip. But we went to this one building, all of us did, and they said that we could go in there and maybe, and maybe get a beer or some damn thing. But we couldn't get no beer. There wasn't any. But there was people in there. I never seen such a bad sight in my whole life of the Korean people that suffered so much. And so I can just imagine what's the suffering that's going on in the Gaza Strip. I've been there, done that, and I know what I'm talking about. And what's going on, Tom, and I don't know if the rest of the people agree with me or not, but what's going on in Israel is a shame. And it's too bad when I went from Korea to Palestine now, but what's going on is it's not good for us. It's not good for the world. It's not good for the Jewish people or the Palestinian people. And I don't know why people like killing each other or want more money, more power over the other guy. I have never figured that out, Tom, and I'm 89 years old. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's terrible what's going on over there. And you, Tom, you've been in Vietnam. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
I've been in Korea. I know what it's like. And if the rest of the people that's listening to us in this listening audience could have been in the places you and I have been, you know, then they wouldn't be trying to kill each other. At least I don't think so. But on this Armistice Day, I want to thank all the other guys that served. And if you get a free breakfast, maybe somebody told me Sidewinders was giving free breakfast for the veterans. Mm-hmm. And I think probably the American Legion is too, aren't they, Tom?
I would imagine. I don't know. You can look online for veterans, freebies in Bozeman or something like that, or Belgrade or Livingston. Certainly.
Well, to all my friends out there that I know that are veterans, have a nice Armistice Day.
Yeah.
And just be safe, treat your mankind, love one another, and no more fighting.
There you go.
That's what I want to say today. And God bless all of us. And thank you, Tom and Shane, for taking the call.
All right. Thanks for being there. We appreciate it. All right. Take care. All right. Yeah. War is hell, and it's not fun, Shane. So,
No, it's not.
I don't know. On the Israel side, they're talking about this ceasefire thing. Shane and I were talking before we went on the air about Macron and his comments. He's the premier of France, or president of France, or whatever he's called. But anyway, yeah.
The Fifth Republic.
Yeah. In the first place, Israel was attacked. So, my way of thinking is that if you're attacked, Germany attacked Poland and France and, Czechoslovakia and everybody else over there in Europe. And the options are to fight back. And unfortunately, in Vietnam, we bombed villages, and unfortunately, civilians were killed. And, for us who don't have a dog in the fight to sit back and try to dictate to Israel what they should or shouldn't do, I think would we like it if Canada was Russia and Mexico was China? Would we listen to Macron say, "Hey guys, just calm down. They're lobbing bombs into you, but so what? Take it easy." I don't think we would say that. I think we would say, "Hey, butt out. It's none of your business." But
Well, it's clear from the demonstrations in your country that the invasion occurring on your southern border has taken them to a place of irrationality.
yeah.
They just don't want to believe it.
Well, I think that's part of it. I know we've seen TV spots where they go down and interview the protesters, and they have no clue what's going on there, or who does what, or who belongs to who. They've just been told, carry this sign and yell loudly, and but I'm wondering, you've got the Jewish students at universities are afraid to go to class, or afraid to walk on campus. Where is BLM? Where are the groups that fight for the oppressed? Where's now? Where's the now nags? Where are these groups that always talk about? Where's the LGBTQ? Where are those guys? Why aren't they down there marching on the side of the oppressed Jewish people? Jewish students or Jewish people walking the streets of cities.
None of these people have been taught that, the Muslim belief of death to infidels, their hate's so great they have no design for peace.
That's why I say, there's no peace you can't negotiate with somebody.
No.
That's just the end of it. So, but the goal is very simple. It's the eradication of Israel. They don't want Israel to exist at all. And, that happens. I guess they'll go after the Egyptians next, or the Jordanians, or, the Kurds, or the Persians, whatever. So I think peace in that region is an oxymoron.
It's very apparent, Thomas. Yeah. It's very apparent.
Yeah. Well, to move on, we've got two big developments that are coming to Bozeman, and I know the various candidates running were talking about we don't want, we're tired of these luxury apartments. We need affordable housing and all of that. Well, Left Lane Development, based out of New York, they are going to. They got a development going by the library, 350,000 square feet 606 and 608 East Main Street. They want a parking structure on the parking lot of the library, and the proposed structure would serve the hotel as well. They want a 75-year easement for $1 a year to do that, and they're going to put in condos and apartments, whatever. I don't think they're going to be anything affordable. I seriously doubt a change, because they're talking about a pretty big piece of change there. So, the development would be they want a parking structure on the parking lot of the library, and the proposed parking would reportedly serve the hotel property as well as the library. And they want to put mixed-use hotel, condo, multifamily development, and in there. And if you want to get involved in that, they've got a meeting coming up on November 15th, 4 p.m. at the community room in the library, which is open to the public. So put that on your calendar if you want to go down and talk about it or find out what's going on. November 15th, 4 p.m. at the large community room at the public library there on Main Street. So if you want to check that out, you can. Now, for those of you who are wondering why the bamboo garden and that sector is all blocked off and got chain link fence all around it, Shane, well, we got a Minneapolis contractor there. They're going to put up 121 apartments, 127 stalls of underground parking, Shane. And they're going to have
a lot.
Yeah, they're going to have 15 stalls of surface parking. They're going to have 222 bike parking stalls, 65 ski lockers, and 900 feet of retail space. And it'll consist of studio, 1 and 2 bedroom units ranging from around 600 square feet to 1,800 square feet. And it'll be high-end finishes. They'll have a rooftop indoor-outdoor lounge, fireplace grills, and views of the Highlight Peak and Spanish Peak, second level outdoor courtyard with a large group of hot tubs and sauna, fitness and yoga studio, a pet spa. You got to have a pet spa, Shane. I mean, microbrew and coffee taps, a library, co-working spaces, dedicated ski and snowboard storage in custom lockers. And to top it all off, Shane, we're going to have underground heated parking.
Isn't that wonderful? This need for some place to build low-cost housing, and for some reason your city council couldn't buy that property, and it
put up some low-cost housing, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's nowhere to build. You're told by them, and we don't know we're going to solve this problem. And someone jumps ahead of them to build a parking lot. I know. That's.
Well, the guys from Minneapolis, the JLL Capital Markets, they've got $32 million construction financing. They got $15 million equity placement for the development, and so they've got the money to do it. They got a 3-year floating rate loan through a regional bank, and they've also sourced the joint venture equity from a real estate investment manager. So, but this is going to be a pretty snazzy place, Shane. So it's not going to be for those folks making $30,000 a year.
Well, I don't mean to segue, but my feeling is I'd be very surprised if it gets built. We have a real issue now, and of course, Black Swan, we talk about it all the time, that landed this last week. WeWork went bankrupt. It's a major company with regards to commercial leasing buildings. And we've been talking about this for about a year, that this was coming to a head. Globally, commercial real estate market is $20 trillion, the industry. And, this company was leasing properties in New York to London, and the commercial real estate is a real issue. In London, it's a 30-year high vacancy, with half the buildings, the commercial buildings now in London, empty. People are at home. 50 to 80% of the employees are working at home, and you only have a opportunity to convert maybe 1 to 3% of these buildings to residential living, and it's very expensive and time consuming. So with the issue that we're all still being faced, I mean, year over year in September, the Chinese government in September was down 6% on exports, and in October 6% again. So 12% in 2 months. So it's not a good situation, Thomas. It's not going to improve, and everyone's trying to tell us it is. And and the bobbleheads, they finally have admitted about the recession in the real estate market. And
we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we got to talk about it because it's a real major issue.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be built. The backhoe is there. They've got chain link all around the property. So this is pretty much a done deal. They're going to start wrecking that place, the Bamboo Garden, and a couple of places next to it. Used to be the ice cream place used to be there, and Speedy Print was there for a while. So it's they're gonna make it happen. And so I don't know. We talk about this affordable housing, and there's no answer to affordable housing that I mean, there's just too many things involved in it, Shane.
Yes, that's right.
It's just not a workable thing. From our text line, 478-8298, Tom, you are living one of housing solutions for Bozeman, mobile homes. I am living in a mobile home, and it is the best decision I ever made. Dumped my home in Bozeman, and paying a lot less, and putting what would have been a mortgage into a retirement fund. So it works out pretty well. So that's from our good listener, Tom. Tom, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Let's see. I vote no on all city candidates. Yeah, well, I don't know. Aaron Flint suggested they write me in as candidate for mayor, but... Well, living out of town, not being able to do that. So, let's see if there's anything else here that's going with what we're talking about here at the moment. All those views from the condos guaranteed to last? Nope. No, they'll build another 10-story building and cut your view. Couple happy birthdays to me. Thanks very much for that, folks. Appreciate it. So we got We've got to move. The one thing about the mayors, I guess, Russ Nelson was the Belgrade mayor. We've had Russ on when we were on 5 days a week. Obviously, Russ is a great guy, and I think he'll do a good job over there in Belgrade. We got another liberal communist, whatever, elected to the 4 liberal communist insurrectionists or whatever we have in City Hall now. So I don't look for anything to change. If all 3 candidates said they were going to come in and change, well, the only thing they're going to change is they're going to change the votes to 4-1 instead of 4-0. So that's where we find ourselves. So the election is kind of a moot point. Nothing's going to change. From our text line, I was at the zoning commission meeting when the board approved that building by the Bamboo Garden. They had some hipster from a local architectural firm present the plan for approval. The board tripped all over themselves to rush to approve it. Not one on the board was qualified to make decisions like that. 2 of them are ex-lawyers. What does a lawyer know about building a city? Yeah, I'd agree with that. So. Well, that's why affordable housing just won't work, because we've got all these folks that want to live here, and they'll pay to live here. And, that's a fact of life. The most expensive cities in the world, San Francisco, pretty expensive, Shane. LA, no bargains there. New York City rents for lofts are $1,500 to $2,000. Somehow people find a way to live there. So,
or choose to want to live there with the mess that exists. It's like that's what's so phenomenal about your urban centers in your country. The real estate's so expensive, obviously, because there's a demand for it, but they're in such bad shape. I don't know. It's one of those oxymorons we talk about.
Yeah. Geez, Shane, the parking lot is not going to take up any living space because it's going to be underneath the living and commercial spaces. I think we're getting the library and the other one confused because one's going to have underground parking, one's going to have above ground parking.
With hot tubs.
Yeah, and hot tubs, yeah. And it's right downtown, the place to draw in money, not out in affordable housing. Yeah, that's the good thing. You'll have people with money within walking distance of downtown. So, yeah, you're gonna see them down there spending their bucks. So, yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, Joey. It's Joseph Morrison, I guess, but I think he goes by Joey, Shane. So
yeah,
we'll accommodate that with
okay.
Must be his preferred pronoun, so we'll go with Joey. So works for me. And let's see. We got the other stuff here, but we can move into the debate, Shane. I think I witnessed two things. On Tuesday, abortion showed once again it's the dominant deal in any election is going to be abortion. And Wednesday, I just saw the complete demise of the Republican Party in total. I mean, they're done like dinner. And not going to happen. So what did you see?
Well, a lot of people that just are narcissists. They're all narcissists,
Well,
but by appearance, you've got every example of a narcissistic American right across the board. And someone trying to act like Trump is probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
And someone denying, her preferences for war. I mean, the money she's making sitting on boards of military contractors, basically. An incredibly overweight ex-governor that somehow thinks people will want to listen or vote for him. There's no point going on in reference to the others. The fact is that they don't have anything to offer or explain why they would be a better president than Trump. I mean, they just how can you? None of them have a record. And the big disappointment, I think, for everyone, certainly me, but not a surprise, is DeSantis. I thought DeSantis would do a lot better, but he's just it's not happening.
Yeah, that's the thing. Nikki Haley has caught up to him in the polling. I like DeSantis. I don't have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem with him being president. He's governor of a big state, and didn't shut his state down during COVID. So I mean, he did a lot of things right.
The biggest political quote of 2023 was DeSantis saying, "Woke comes to Florida to die."
Yeah,
I that's all I would have talked about if I was him. I'd be, I'd still be yelling that to the clouds. Yeah, but I don't know. People advise them that are smarter than me, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the other thing you got to think about is you got two people, Biden, whether Biden runs or not. You and I are on the fence about that. I think you don't think he will. I'm thinking he will, because they're between a rock and a hard place. If they get rid of Biden, what are they going to do with Kamala? Nobody wants her, so you're going to have to get rid of both of them in order to bring in somebody else. And whoever that somebody else is, who knows? But But the issue is that you got two people, the front runners, Biden and Trump, both are under investigation by justice. And one of them is not only doing well in the polls, every time you turn around, they increase their lead. And the other person is going completely into the dumper. For and both are circumstantial evidence. Nothing has been proven in court for anybody to go to prison yet. So, it's hard to understand why the Democrats, are kicking Biden to the curb, and why the Republicans are propping up Trump. So we'll have to talk about that when we come back.
Oh, okay.
Because we're at the bottom, we're at the top of the hour. So, because I know people want to know what you think.
And why we agree.
Yeah, we'll be right back with more of this. Hey, we've still got a lot to talk about. Joe Manchin cutting bait and leaving. Elsie Stefanik is after the judge, Trump, in the Trump case. A lot going on. So we'll be back with more right after the news. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. It is 8 minutes after the hour of 9 a.m. Mountain Time. It's Saturday. It's November 11th, 2023. It's Veterans Day, Remembrance Day in Canada. And we want to remind you the Bobcats are going to take on Eastern Washington at the stadium at 1 p.m. That'll be on our sister station, XL Country 100.7 on your FM dial. Shaman Taubman, half man, half amazing, is with me as always. And we've got some, I finally got the app chat going, Shane.
Excellent.
Yeah, Microsoft is, I wish I could call Microsoft all the 8 words I can't say on the air. I want to call them every one of them. But anyway. From our app chat line, AM 1450 KMMS in Bozeman. Thank you for your service, Tom. I appreciate that. One of the things that we talk about when we talk about thanking people for their service, the Vietnam folks have a different spin on that. If you see someone with a Vietnam hat or know that they're a Vietnam serviceman or woman, welcome home is the better response, which was something we never got. We never got a welcome home after Vietnam. So welcome home is always maybe a little preferable to thank you for your service. Although we certainly appreciate both. I'm not saying I'm gonna correct you if you tell me thank you for your service, because I'm not gonna do that. But there's a little. It was a little more personal for us, I think, more than any other group, because we were demonstrated against. I've said many times, you get to the airport, you got to go in the bathroom and change into your civilian clothes, otherwise, you get food thrown at you or spit on or whatever as you're walking through the terminal. So sad as that may be, that's how it was back in the 60s. So anyway, just to put that out for anybody that wants that info. Let's see, from AW, I live in the Covered Wagon Trailer Park. That's at 19th and Oak across from Smith's Grocery Store, if you know where that is. I was told I can't vote because I live in the rural section of Bozeman. Yeah, that trailer park is in the county. It's right in the middle of Bozeman, but it's in the county. It's, I guess if they annexed it in, it would be unfortunate because you'd have to put in roads, curbs, sidewalks, lighting. Nobody could afford to live there because you'd have to pay the fees for it. So let's take a phone call. 406-522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's going on?
Oh, is that me?
That's you.
Man, that was quick.
I am quick.
This is David down in San Francisco.
How you doing?
It being Veterans Day, I wonder if the discussion has gotten into that a Confederate Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama has been able to put a hold on every promotion of every general and upper officer class throughout the military for, 6 months?
Tuberville, you're talking about Tuberville, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Confederate. That guy is like a saboteur. And not a single person has been able to put a stop to this guy. He's gone out of his way to make sure that America's defenses are jeopardized by not having a transition of promotions, from the upper levels, and just amazing.
Yeah, his reasoning for doing that is he opposes the military being able to relocate people for abortions.
Which is a weasel reason. If you know about abortions back before 1972, there was a book that came out by Bob Woodward in the mid-'70s called The Brethren. And in it, he describes how if you were an average person and your wife had an abortion, your girlfriend had an abortion, you could be blackmailed. And if a general, for example, or a diplomat had a mistress or a wife or a daughter who had an abortion, top secrets could be disclosed through that blackmail. And so America's security was jeopardized by people who were blackmailing because of abortion. And
well, they were also being blackmailed because they failed to take personal responsibility for their actions.
And so that's why America's top secrets could be transmitted.
No, it's because there wouldn't be any way to blackmail you if you took personal responsibility and didn't commit the acts that would put you in a position to be blackmailed.
Well, it's soft on crime, I'll tell you. It's probably the weaseliest argument that I've ever heard. But again, if you want to read some more about it, there's a Kitty Kelly book about Frank Sinatra. And it opens up, the first chapter of that book talks about Frank Sinatra's mother was a huge abortionist. And she was one of the wealthiest women in America because blackmail was a big part of it. And organized crime had in the top 3 income streams, there was gambling, prostitution, and abortions were run by organized crime. And for every abortion, you'd get a free extortion, blackmail. And to pretend that organized crime cared about personal responsibility, it's laughable.
Well, they didn't. They didn't care about it. It should be the person who cares about their own personal responsibility.
Well, that's between them and God, let's say.
Well, it is, but it's still. Let me give you an example. When I was growing up, I just had a birthday yesterday. I just turned 80. When I was growing up, if someone in my high school class or something got pregnant, they were sent off to live with their aunt in, Kansas or somewhere until the baby was born, and then the baby would become the mother, and the mother and father would take it as their own. And because there was a stigma of sex out of wedlock. And that went away for some reason. I don't know why it went away. But now I think Hollywood put the damper on it when they started having kids out of wedlock. Cromartie, the pro football player, 8 kids by 6 different women. This guy gets he gets a TV show. What's up with that?
Well, if you remember also probably going on 50 years ago, Ronald Reagan was one of the first governors to release. The mental institutions were filled, and it turned out that of those people in mental institutions, about 1/3 of them were either heirs who stood to inherit some part of a family fortune, and their family, maybe a couple of the other heirs, decided to declare them insane, and they'd put them into a mental institution so they could steal their inheritance. And another huge part of the mental institutions were not filled with girls going to Kansas to live with their aunt. They were filled with girls that got pregnant and put in a mental institution where the babies were born into a mental institution and never released. So
and the ACLU opened up all the mental institutions, and that's what we have today.
Right. And so the whole point is that the abortion and blackmail was a major part of the American economy, and the American economy was being sapped by blackmail. Yeah. And so it's described, like I say, in The Brethren by talking about the Supreme Court justices and the decision on Roe v. Wade, and also Kitty Kelly's book on Frank Sinatra. There are any number of other books that talk about blackmail and abortion.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You do not want to have, you start going down to Texas now. You remember they've got that snitch economy down in Texas now where you can get a $10,000 bonus for turning in a girl that's about to have an abortion or even thinking about having an abortion. So you can get a $10,000 snitch payout. And so Texas has encouraged blackmail. They've encouraged a snitch economy over something that's none of their business. And it's an amazing scandal to think that so-called moral people, these pro-life people, they're really just fronts for organized crime.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask a question because you're saying so many things with regards to one topic. So for me, a Canadian, would you tell me what about Roe versus Wade and that decision has to do with abortion?
Well, if you read The Brethren, it describes.
I'm not talking about a bigoted book. You're the one calling with this topic.
It's not a bigoted book.
You inform our listeners what part of Roe versus Wade has to do with abortion. Just tell us all. Inform us.
Yeah, it's whether or not a woman has the right to get an abortion.
It doesn't say that. Nothing in there about abortion. So what part of Roe versus Wade has to do with abortion? There's no mention of abortion in Roe versus Wade. So there you go. If you're going to take that position... Yes.
Are you liar? Are you a liar? Roe v. Wade is a question.
There's no mention of Roe versus Wade. This was an action in Washington State that the abortion people brought to the Supreme Court because it had to do with a woman's right for equal pay. That's what Roe versus Wade was. It was aborted into something about abortion. So you go read the Roe versus Wade decision by all 9 justices. No mention of abortion.
That's nonsense. And
you need to educate yourself, sir, to come on here from it takes China's President Xi to come from China for your governor to clean up your city. So please don't come on here as an activist and not even be. You're as bad as the people in your country that are out there. They're protesting what happened in Israel and denying what happened on October 7th. So
change the subject, are you?
Tens of millions of babies have been aborted because of a bad Supreme Court decision.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're saying that when the Supreme Court overruled Roe v. Wade then a few months ago,
overrule it. They did not overrule it. They did not. There you go again. The ill-informed person coming on as an activist for abortion. They sent it back to the states under the 14th Amendment of your country for the states to decide, which is how it should have been when it was first decided. Thank you. I appreciate you
You're saying overruling
you affirming.
Roe v. Wade
I appreciate you
is
affirming the
overruling a
woke
woman's right to
ideology
get
of
equal
being
pay.
uninformed.
Overruling a woman's right to get equal pay.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. It was the opposite.
Well, then what did
It
they
was a rule
overrule?
in favor of women
They
getting
didn't
equal
They
pay.
didn't overrule anything. They sent it to the states to decide
No, but
on
the
their
original-
own.
Whether
They
a
didn't.
woman
They didn't
could get
overrule
equal
it. They
pay.
didn't make it illegal.
That's right.
So the Supreme Court said that any state doesn't need to give a woman equal pay.
No,
You're so full of
you're
crap.
misinterpreting the whole conversation for your own activism argument, and it's unfortunate, but it's good that everyone, that all of our listeners are hearing what the problem is with the woke left, and you're a great example. Thank you. I
Abortion
appreciate you
and
calling.
blackmail. Is that abortion? Is that a woke left? Blackmail, fighting organized crime.
See, you
Is
have
that-
no
is that
argument, so
woke?
you want to change the discussion. There you go. Good job. You're following. You must have the talking points right in front of you.
Yeah. Let me also make one correction to what you said earlier about the $10,000 snitch. The law creates a civil penalty of $10,000 for anyone performing an abortion after a fetal heartbeat is detected. There's no criminal penalty, but it allows any private citizen to sue for the $10,000 court costs and attorney fees. So it's not a snitch that somebody's going to have an abortion.
So the taxpayer has to pay that then, right?
Sure, why not?
Ha ha. Boy, Texas does it again. They don't make the woman pay that $10,000. They make the citizens of Texas pay that $10,000.
No, they make the doctor pay it.
Yeah. Okay. That's nonsense, because the snitch aspect of it has even to do with whether or not a woman decides to take a bus to go to.
Hello?
Whoop. I think he hung himself up. Or the.
Yeah, he's not there. Yeah. I didn't hang up on him.
No, you didn't. His tower didn't work in San Francisco.
maybe not. Yeah. Yeah, but I want to stress that the law creates a civil penalty of $10,000 for anyone performing an abortion after a fetal heartbeat. So that's a $10,000 fine for the doctor. I would presume that, or the hospital, or whoever.
Well, it's so great, Thomas, because this is essentially an example of woke thinking, and the predominant acceptance of ill-informed people. It's altruistic. It's an issue that has to be dealt with. But you have on your list about the problem that the Republicans have in explaining their position on it, and instead of coming out and saying, abortion is legal in the United States, and every state gets to determine the boundaries of that medical process. That's all it is. So
yeah. And Roe v. Wade, from one of our texters, the Supreme Court decided the right of privacy implied in the 14th Amendment protected abortion as a fundamental right. However, the government retained the power to regulate or restrict abortion access depending on the stage of pregnancy. So Roe v. Wade was really a privacy issue than more than anything else. So.
Well, that's right, but it was a result of that set in motion, as we talk about, laws about precedent and procedure. Yeah. And so people went to court for years, for 50 years, and to continually increase the precedent of abortion because of it.
Yeah.
It was a ring in the ladder of success for the murder of millions of children.
Yeah. Nobody spit on troops. It's an urban myth. Well, having been there, I experienced it myself in San Francisco Airport, by the way, which is where we came back to from Hawaii when we were coming home. That's not an urban myth.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And I remember as a child, when we went to the airport, which, as a child in the 60s, that was pretty cool because that's when it all started, commercial airlines.
Yeah.
and seeing it. I saw it for myself.
I'm gonna say it was, and the big deal was it wasn't documented. I didn't go get a, airport cop and say, hey, this guy threw food on me or spit on me or whatever, or called me names. No. So yeah, as far as those incidents were passed on through families and whatever. So no, don't even go there.
No, and I just, in further to the phone call, 65 million abortions since Roe versus Wade in U.S. alone. Worldwide, 1.7 billion, and 1,000 a day in the U.S. And of that, 20.5 million African American Black babies since 1973. So an entire generation.
Yeah, your chance of being aborted in New York City if you're Black is better than being born. And look it up. It's on there. I agree with the caller on the blackmail situation. Yeah, that in many cases, even in Hollywood, they kept pregnancies out of wedlock under wrap because of the popularity of the people. But yeah, they could be blackmailed, certainly. And why was that? Because society didn't accept just having sex with anybody that came around. You took personal responsibility for your actions. And if you didn't take personal responsibility for your action, then you deserve to be blackmailed. And
there's another thing that resulted from Roe versus Wade, and it came to pass basically in the 80s, was shamelessness. That it went away. People, you and I grew up with people that were shamed out of work. They call it wokeism today, but when we were younger, it was shame.
Yeah.
If you did something shameful, it would cost you, a lot.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't done by law or anything. It was just cultural, normal, concepts that common sense.
Yeah. Well, there's no question abortion is going to be on the ballot in 2024, and the Republicans are going to take it in the shorts. They just will. So sorry about that. So if you plan on, some states have already decided this, Montana being one of them. So abortion is not going to be on the ballot here because it's already in the Constitution and it's a done deal here. So, but Pennsylvania, Ohio has decided. So if some of these states do decide on it before the election, that may or may not change things. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Shane and I will return. We still got a lot to talk about. We got some text messages we got to get to, and we'll return right after the news. Stay tuned. Don't go away. 27 minutes before the hour of 10 a.m. It's Saturday, November 11, 2023. The Bobcats take on Eastern Washington at the stadium at 1 o'clock this afternoon. So we hope that you'll tune in at 100.7 on your FM dial, XL Country. They will be broadcasting that live. Also want to remind you, Bozeman Magazine, Bozeman's Choice, Reader's Choice, Tom and Shane up for several awards. Go to bozemanmagazine.com. Tom and Shane are up for awards in media and info, and we would appreciate your vote. You only get to vote once, so make it count. And all of our competition is on 5 days a week, so they get to tell people to vote 5 times or more each morning or whenever they're on. We only get to tell you once a week, so we really need the support of our listeners to get over to bozemanmagazine.com. and vote. Nothing will happen to you. No emails. You won't be inundated with anything. We've done this many years in a row. I've never had a listener call and say, hey, you got me in that Bozeman magazine, and they're giving me thousands of emails a day. That ain't going to happen because, first of all, they don't have the people to do it. They're like everybody else. They're trying to make do with the things they have. So. Oh, let's see. We had a president who knocked up a woman out of wedlock, got rewarded by the presidents, and now is leading the Republican candidate. More morality or principles? Well, what can I tell you? politicians aren't choir boys. They're not.
That's a fair analysis.
That's a fair analysis, right?
I would accept that.
Hey, if you want me to run for public office and you start looking at my background, no. You're not going to vote for me based on what I've done in the past. That ain't going to happen. So, well, let's see what else we got on here. Let's see. Bozeman, Belgrade, and the county are well down the path to planning a $6 billion infrastructure scheme where water would be piped into Gallatin Valley from Canyon Ferry, crossing 170 distinct properties over 60 miles. They have 2 engineering firms studying the project, and the city of Bozeman already has hired a marketing firm to sell the concept. It would be a joint effort among Bozeman, Belgrade, and the Gallatin County. So there you go. No question, water's a problem in Bozeman. I think it always has been, Shane.
We have a remarkable valley there, and the aquifers in that valley. They haven't been completely refilled, aren't anywhere near empty. So, drill, baby, drill. That's the simple answer.
That's it, yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, the FBI busted Eric Adams, so much for that GOP victim card, and claiming they don't go after Democrats. Will Mike Johnson avoid government shutdown, or will he be McCarthy'd? What do you think? Will Johnson avoid a government shutdown, Shane, do you think?
That's, you just don't know.
Yeah.
The way these people are acting now, I don't know.
Yeah.
I assume, because they've been doing for 30 years, a continuing resolution. So that's all I go by what I've seen.
There you go. Also, thank women veterans. Yes, we need to thank our women veterans. Thank you very much. How stupid is Trump to post half-naked pictures of the judge who holds his fate? What a stable genius.
Well, it really wasn't him. It was Fox. And, this is an example of how, the moral content of the legal profession in your country is asunder. He should recuse himself because what he's done is clearly show a bias to everything, in the 21st century with regards to his naked pictures on social media. I just you mentioned that Elise Stefanik wants to file a complaint, and why wouldn't you? It's
it's pretty ridiculous the way this guy's acting on the bench. So if Trump wins, he has promised to surround himself with loyalists, much like Biden, and invoke the Insurrection Act and become a dictator. I don't know what country you live in, but we have checks and balances. We have a Supreme Court. We have a Congress. Please, I hate to put your ignorance on display, but that's dumb.
Yeah, it actually is, and I guess that if you look at the Republican Party, and I don't necessarily disagree what you said about it after the debate, but the rhinos have a huge influence in that party when you see the people that they convinced Trump to appoint to the cabinet, and it was a trap door and he fell through it. That's it.
That's it. Hang in there, Tom. The Bozeman city limits will soon swallow up your chances of mayor are not out of reach. That's good.
I don't know. I somehow think they should extend it with a corridor all the way up to the mountains, so all those billionaires living.
Yeah, that's where we should do it.
That's what I think.
Well, the sad point is the Yellowstone Club, where all the rich guys live up a Big Sky. That's in Madison County. That's not in Gallatin. So they get all the property taxes in Madison. We don't get it. So unfortunately, why do Republicans exaggerate and lie so much? They claim that liberals are communists. Some might be communists, but it's a far cry to paint them all with the same wide brush. Well, nobody paints the conservatives with a wide brush? Come on.
Well, not only that, but I think they need to check and they'll find that a vast majority of Democrats admit to being basically socialists and communists. They outwardly, and you saw that with this issue with Tlaib, which you also have on our list.
Yeah. Tuberman, we're talking about the guy who's holding up some of the promotions of military. He's willing to hurt servicemen for his own stupid opinion. Well, I would rather have somebody stand on what they believe in, even if I disagree, rather than, go with the flow.
Well, it's a sad overview of your military when you look what's going on with it, their opinions of wokeness and so on. But more importantly, just the manner in which they've done things in the last 20 years at the Department of Defense and the leadership there and the people that they've elevated to be in field command and so forth, which caused me, because it's Veterans Day today, I want you to give me three great American generals of the 18th century, the 19th century, and the 20th century that you think were amazing American field leaders, military.
Eisenhower, Grant, and
Washington.
Yeah, I would say Washington, probably, yeah.
And Schwarzkopf.
Yeah, you could put him in there as well.
Yeah. Good choices.
Not Westmoreland, thank you very much.
No.
Tuberville is only blocking mass promotions. They are still promoting one at a time, and as they probably should be. I don't think I'd like a mass promotion of. There's too many bad guys to slip through the cracks on that one.
Well, that's right, and with a new head of your Joint Chiefs of Staff, this is always one of their crowning achievements when they're appointed for their term is to advance everyone under them that they know, right? Because they want to try and manage control of the Department of Defense somehow, and through command, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. When one looks at recent elections and results, it's becoming increasingly obvious that for Democrats, killing babies in the womb trumps everything and nothing else matters. Pathetic. Biden will be meeting with the Chinese dictator in San Francisco soon. I imagine that Biden will be reminded that China has audio and video of Biden crime family deals, so keep your mouth shut or we'll release them to the public and your treasonous behavior will be exposed. So there we are.
Well,
I think we already got the checks, haven't we, Shane?
And 9 months ago, the Chinese government, Xi and his partners over there, they released the Chinese bank accounts that Hunter had. So, that was lifting the skirt. But clearly they will go all the way if they have to. Look, he's in serious trouble. His economy has fallen off the abyss.
Yeah.
If you want to pay attention. There's stock markets. There's 4 principal stock markets in China, and they're down by 60 to 80% in the last 2 years. And as we announced on the program, I think 2 weeks ago, he's using the government Chinese banks, which there's over a half a dozen, to buy what would be valued at $1 trillion US, or over 7 trillion won, to buy shares in these public companies, because it's a mess, and we dealt with this a number of times. The interesting aspect of the capitalist economy that we've discovered in the last 250 years is, on average, there's a depression every 50 years. We've had them, and three things are important. Number one, it's worse than the one before. Number two, it caused for completely different reasons. And number three, nothing was done, to prevent it from perhaps happening again, other than changing what caused it. So it just happens. It's a cycle. Like, I mentioned earlier in the first block about the commercial real estate market. It runs in a 10-year cycle. You can just go look back over it. I've seen this 5 times since 1960s. I've been in the market since 1968 and then into 1972, it's just look. The problem we have right now is Western financial markets are now controlled by AI, artificial intelligence. Now they started with IBM's, Watson, and now it's grown to what you're seeing, which is a consolidation of massive amount of money in less than 24 companies. And that's right there another concern for everybody to have, because if the wheels come off, you have 24 companies that represent 80% of this market bullishness, and that's not a good thing, Thomas.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Regarding our San Francisco caller, ask this guy if he wants to pay for abortions. The Treasury will accept his checks. I want to know his personal stake on this issue. He doesn't sound like he even knows how to get a woman pregnant.
Or is guilty of having done it himself. I just said or. I didn't say he was. I just said or.
Yeah. San Francisco, don't call here. Go clean the streets.
Well, they are. Z and
I know
Governor Newsom, who apparently knows something we don't, and that Biden and his family over the holidays will, finally come out at some point. Because remember, there's a big word in your republic. It's called lame duck.
Yeah.
So the longer he puts off not running, he won't be a lame duck. But he is, for all purposes, a lame duck president. Meaning, the last year and a half of his presidency is basically abysmal because of not running or not being electable again.
Yeah. Tuberville is holding our military and putting our country at risk. Keep his opinions to himself. Don't punish our military. Well, it sounds to me like he's putting personal responsibility on the military.
I would
take
agree
responsibility for your actions. Don't screw around, get pregnant, and then expect the government to bail you out.
And all you have to do is look at Soleimani in the 21st century, and Trump, made the call with a button and a drone to take him out.
Yeah.
You didn't need boots on the ground. You didn't need to bomb for a month. You just bam. So it's a different. The whole thing is different now, and the military doesn't like that. They want boots.
Yep. Well, I don't think we're going to have boots on the ground in many more wars. Everything will be done. No. Everything will be done remotely, but
yeah, exactly.
Here we go again. I beg my Republican friends to tell me what crime Hunter and or Joe Biden have committed. Meanwhile, they refuse to read the indictment of the charges Trump has been charged with. Sad. Shane, I read the indictment, all 49 pages of the Florida indictment over the weekend.
Pretty sad, isn't it?
Well, There's a lot of charges in there. And if he's guilty of them, he should swing from the highest yardarm if they still use yardarms anymore.
Well, and your attorney general says he's going to do nothing about Hunter denying the House subpoena for him to answer questions. So, the difference between Biden and Trump is Biden's attorney general clearly does what Biden tells him to.
I'm pretty sure it's what Obama tells him to do, but that's that story.
We don't. Oh, you mean the big guy?
Yeah, the big guy. Yeah. We saw that Putin had something on Trump and Helsinki when Trump had his tail between his legs and threw our agencies under the bus and to please his master Vladimir. Punish military. That's the bottom line. Of servicemen and women. If you read the indictment, we're on YouTube to 12 people. How about reading it now, 2,000? I don't know what that means. So, if you're going to text, think about your text. Maybe write it out, think about it, then paste it in.
There is a meaning to the word context, isn't there?
Yeah. Any individual can be put up. Tupperville just doesn't want large groups put up as a group, or so I thought. Confederate, wow, is that dude Hamas? I mean the caller. Those liberals who are not communists are the useful idiots for the communists. So, there we are. I guess that's where we are. So. Let's see. The spitting stories are folklore. They didn't merge till 1990 when supporters of U.S. efforts the Persian Gulf wanted to discredit anti-war activists. These stories became props. Many stories have implausible deals, like returning soldiers deplaning at San Francisco airport where they were met by groups of spitting hippies. In fact, return flights landed at military air bases like Travis, from which protesters would have been barred. Well, let me clue you in. I flew from Hawaii commercial. Yeah. And because the stewardesses were kind enough to sit on our laps and take our orders. I'm sorry, flight attendants. And we landed at San Francisco airport because it was a commercial flight. Now, this was when I came back in 1967. Now, after that may be. But I will tell you, the height of the anti-war movement was in the early 1960s.
Of course it was. And when you take a commercial flight like that, did the government pay for it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did the government pay for your flight?
Well, sure. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, we didn't fly home in some Airbus, with tanks in between us or anything. No, we got on a commercial airline in Hawaii, and we flew to San Francisco Airport commercial.
But you did fly to Japan in a military transport, right?
No.
Oh, you did? It was commercial too?
It was commercial too. Huh? Yeah. Because the planes were busy elsewhere. So.
Well, it just reminds me of Schwarzkopf. I mentioned that. Mm-hmm. And, how the American military basically took over the commercial planes in the United States to ferry 400,000 men with full gear, to the Middle East to recover Kuwait. Mm-hmm. And, that was one of the largest air transports in military history. It was huge.
Yeah.
Then, of course, came Iraq and 9/11, and that all changed.
Yeah. Where did you read the Trump indictments? I missed it. I read them in my recliner in front of watching football on TV.
I love it.
How about instead of top 10 wonderful Trump praises, you read the first 12 pages of the documents indictment? Well, I would read the first 12 pages, but I'm interested in our ratings. So no one cares to read the indictment.
Yeah, the first half of the document are legal precedents is for what they.
I was going to say, most of it is.
What the charges were in the indictment, and then at the end they put in what the individual indictments are. So
Yeah.
they have to argue what right they have to make these claims first.
Yeah, from our app chat line, Tom, thank you for your service. As predicted, wages are going down in Bozeman because of the influx of immigrants, legal or not. Sadly, the rent rate is not going to go down. I want you to, I sent you a screenshot of Burger King charging or paying people $11 to $12 an hour to start. And I think several places are paying more than that, but whatever. There are hiring signs all over town. I know that. So they are everywhere. All right. Have your listeners look up the time that veterans were waiting days to get flown home from Afghanistan until finally Tower Air flew in to take those soldiers home on the government dime. Guess who owned the Tower Air? Trump, of course. Well, so what?
I would like to suggest to people right now, just because of what I perceive is coming, you might want to consider selling your home if you're 40 or over. And here's why. Yeah. Sell your home on a condition that you get a 2-year rental agreement with the purchaser. Because within 2 years, what I see coming will have established itself, and the price of real estate, or residential real estate, will drop. It'll just have to. So
yeah,
it's not advice. It's just think about something that you might do, or for those that are in a retirement age, go to the bank and get a reverse mortgage. But then at the end of the day, you're there forever, and you have the money in the bank. So those two things are certainly two ideas that people should be considering right now, seriously considering.
Yeah. Boy, you had fun last weekend. Thank you for being honest. You care about ratings and feeding audience bias confirmation instead of the truth. Truth would be reading a indictment which Fox learned criticizing Trump loses audiences. So that sad that so-called conservatives don't want to hear Trump is a bad guy. So, well, that's what I do. I sit here and I lie for 3 hours every week. That's my job. Right. That's my job.
And we did have a great show last week, and we're sincerely grateful for all the people that called in as we are today, and share this time with us with their thoughts.
What are you doing?
And it's remarkable because with the exception of this guy from California, which you got to admit he had a lot of nerve, but we got to go. So you say goodbye, Thomas.
All right, we'll be right back right after this. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. Tommy Golife, your morning mayor in the house. Shema Taubin, he's half man and half amazing. He's in Kamloops, Canada, making this America's only international talk show on Saturday.
That's fabulous.
I think we're the only one. I don't know.
Lucky us.
Anyway, it's November 11th. It's Veterans Day, so hug a veteran if you got one in your family, or if you see one on the street. Be careful, though. They may take it the wrong way and punch you out. But anyway.
That's very good.
All right. The Bobcats are going to take on Eastern Washington. That'll be at 1 o'clock today out at the stadium. That'll be on our sister station, XL Country, 100.7 on your FM dial. So make sure that you get over there and check that out. And for our text line, text is really active, Shades. I've got to demonstrate the thought process of some people by revealing their thoughts on the air. So, Biden,
and that's a good thing.
Biden crime family, did they start a fake university? And that was before Trump was elected. Did they steal from a charity? That was before Trump was elected. Did they pay a porn star for silence? That was before Trump was elected. And did they take a $2 billion bribe from the Saudis? No, they didn't. The $2 billion bribe was completely legal. No one's been charged with taking a bribe. No one's being indicted. There's no indictment to read about the $2 billion Saudi deal anywhere that I can find. So there you go. Trump's Trump started investigating Biden 5 years ago. No indictments, nothing but innuendo. Comer claims to have dirt. Show it. Why hide it? Maybe he's lying. Well, they showed 2 checks. I know that. Check to Joe Biden, check to his brother, and for loan payments that we don't seem to have any loan agreements anywhere that anybody knows about. So,
or declared on his financials.
Yeah. So there you go.
So I guess he forgot. Because he does that a lot. You know?
That's it, yeah. Shut down the Keystone Pipeline, Afghan disaster, inflation at 40-year high, interest rates at decades high, 2 wars, 8 million illegals in the country, unknown how many terrorists in the bunch. I've nothing but contempt for Joe Biden and his agenda. Anyone who supports or would vote for this corrupt, incompetent fool must have the IQ of a cockroach.
And I because it's Veterans Day, Remembrance Day / Remembrance Day, I want to put out there that we should all be grateful for the 30,000 military boots that are still on the ground in Iraq and Syria. It's people forget you're still over there.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Again, Hunter grifted sucker Chinese selling his last name, but what actual crime did he commit? It depends on what he got or what the Chinese got for the money. That's what we don't know. I don't think the Chinese just hand over money to Hunter for nothing.
You would be right on that.
I think you'd be right on that. You say Obama is pulling the strings on Biden. Who was pulling the strings on Biden when he was VP and supposedly offered so-called influence? Seems to me like I remember Obama saying that never underestimates Joe Biden's ability to F things up.
Well, you had Obama's admission this last week, particularly about the Middle East, that everybody's hands are dirty on this one, especially his administration with Hillary as Secretary of State. We know what happened. The whole northern part of Africa, all the way to the Middle East, was descended upon with absolute horror and collapse, financial collapse. So, gee whiz, I guess your hands are dirty with regards to that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the polls, the people taking the polls, don't believe Joe Biden is not corrupt.
That's right.
And they think Trump is a witch hunt. Otherwise, the polls would be reversed. Trump would be at 30% battling with Haley, and DeSantis would be in the lead, and Biden would be at like 90%. So I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Biden, if you think Trump packed those boxes, I got a bridge to sell you. First mistake Trump made was he didn't fire the Obama people. Biden Beach house belongs to the Chinese.
Well, certainly financed by it. Look, I always have a little bit of time for a rant, so I'll get it done here. The bobbleheads of the financial markets in your country this week finally reversed themselves on your debt, and ungloriously, we're discussing the fact that no one's buying your debt. So yes, you can pay the interest on your debt. It's $1 trillion off the top. $1 trillion a year now in interest payments on your debt. But more importantly, no one is buying your debt. No one's rolling it over. And this is a cause for concern. We know that this is an amazing reality that people have to accept. You know, China has dumped more of your debt. They're down to 850 billion, and so now that's 4 billion that they've sold since 2019. So yeah, the only one holding up the whole thing really is Japan, holding steady at 1.1 trillion. Lesser amounts down as you go down for reasons of trade with the U.S., but The bonds have reversed themselves. The 30-year bonds is now cheaper to buy with an interest rate of 4.7. And
Yeah.
no one bought the auction of the 30-year bond because guess what? The interest rate was 0.005.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
you buy it on the street for less than $100 at face value and get 4.7%.
Yeah. There you
go. There you
go. My uncle died in the ETO of World War II a month before the Germans surrendered. Pretty sure he didn't give his life for the country we have today. What would Shane do to reduce the debt? Asking for a friend.
Sure. The first thing you do is you end the continuing resolution, number one. Number two, a nickel cut, a 5% cut, every department, and your budget will be balanced in 2 years and you'll be able to pay off the debt. And three, drill, baby, drill. You have to be able to compete. The only reason oil is down in price isn't because of the Middle East or anything else. It's because China is importing less and less oil. And so this is great because for the last 4 years, you've lost an opportunity to be able to pay the debt. And the only reason your debt is manageable at this point is because the Federal Reserve annually pays over $1 trillion from interest it generates from the U.S. debt it holds to the Treasury. And that's the only thing that's holding you, away from the fire, so to speak.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see. That's dumb. There were a lot more war protests that supported the troops than disrespected them at times. Vietnam was a hellhole of war profiting. Protesters didn't take inner-city teenagers to fight in a faraway land of swamps. Protesters didn't stop the napalm to burn down villages so they could be saved. Protesters didn't treat the troops so poorly that 20% of them became heroin addicts. Protesters didn't lie to the American public about that winning was just around the corner. My dad was a gunner on a B-29. So, well, being there and seeing people demonstrating against us rather than demonstrating against North Vietnam was a little disheartening. And
terrific.
As I said, there was no welcome home for us, and the majority of people, we had the draft then, of course. A lot of people enlisted, but a lot of people were drafted as well, went, no choice to them. And so, no, I'm not gonna forgive the protesters and Jane Fonda and all those wackos, that were leading all the demonstrations against the war.
And we have to accept the fact that the reason there was no draft, after 9/11, the 20-year war you fought in the Middle East, was because of contractors. Military contractors became acceptable at the Department of Defense, and they were like literally 30% of the people fighting that war. They were ops, black ops, and retired or previously members of the military. They got paid 2, 3, 4, 5 times more than what your military is paid. So that was the single largest expense, was the private contractors, of those wars in the Middle East.
Yeah. From our app chat line, Shane, AM 1450 KMMS on your smartphone, could Shane repeat what he was saying about selling your home if you're over 40?
What I'm saying is you might want to consider selling your home on one condition, and that is the purchaser agrees to at least a 2-year rental agreement for you to stay in your home at the same price. It's like a reverse mortgage for people who have, a home that are retired and it's paid off. They go to the bank, get its value in cash, and they still stay in the home. So it gives you an opportunity, because I do believe, as I said, we will run into hopefully just a recession, but I think it'll be worse. But having said that, the cycle of the residential real estate will turn, and people will find reason or have to sell because of interest rates. Because I expect the Fed in December will raise after Christmas and all the buying. They'll raise a half a point, 0.5%, or a full point, 1% increase in the Fed rate. There was the Federal Reserve Chairman got up this week and said that that inflation is stymied by the housing costs, just as one example. But it's inflation and the cost of gasoline, even with the price of oil down. So they're faced with a major dilemma because their balance sheet is offside.
Yeah. From our app chat line about the urban campers, they say we are polluting the water system. How about the warming shelter revising to put out a porta potty on site? There's 50 people hanging there all day long till they open at night, peeing and shooting up by the dumpster. And I'm next door. Now that's illegal. All right. I'll have to go along with that, I guess. So, let's see. If you do not take an interest in the affairs of your government, then you are doomed to live under the rule of fools. Supposedly that's by Plato. So, there you go.
True.
Yeah.
Great writer.
Yeah.
We should talk about Joe Manchin, and the reason is the one thing I find so fascinating about this election next year. I think you've got now 3 additional parties besides your primary 2 that have announced the Green Party, and then Joe Manchin is thinking about getting together with that Utah senator that probably won't be reelected and to run, and he's 13 points behind the Republican governor who's going to run for the Senate in that state, which is probably another reason that he's decided to retire. But these minor blips that are happening to the Democratic Party are major in how they're going to affect the election, and that's why it's our conversation here about trying to analyze it is only interesting because of Joe Manchin. What do you think he's going to do? Do you think he'll do something else?
Yeah. Happy Veterans Day, guys, and hope you got the birthday great show. As always, wish Tom happy birthday. All right, thanks.
Happy birthday, Tom.
Yeah, Jane Fonda is a traitor. She should not be in this country. And I would have to go along with that. So,
well, On Golden Pond was the only successful movie she did after that. So, and it was a good movie, and her dad was in it. So,
yeah. So, well, I don't know. 9 to 5 wasn't so bad, but
yeah, but that was the Dolly Babe.
Well, that's true. Yeah, she made that movie. So, all right. Let's see. All our texts are finished up there. So let's see. One thing we got to talk about, the House censured Tlaib finally for Israeli criticism, and this is kind of a two-edged sword, Shane, because I think congressmen should be able to voice their opinions about anything, but there is a gray area there as to where it's detrimental to the United States and emboldening our enemies and, things like that. But she is a Palestinian person. So, I would commend her for standing up for her own people, but I think she's doing it in the wrong way.
Oh, 100%. There's no question about it. But this is an interesting topic. Censure is basically meant to take a member of the House or the legislature and bring him into the well of the House and read out the charge, the censure charge, to shame them. Yeah. And regrettably, it was the 20 Democrats that agreed to vote for the censure that, on the condition they didn't read the censure that was they were voting on, or tell her or ask her to stand in the well, which is usually the tradition. So I don't know which is worse. The fact that an effort to shame somebody isn't really done, and it's sort of it's I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, the one thing I did want to tell everyone that the only president to be censured was Andrew Jackson, and he was Donald Trump's one of his biggest icons, Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, he was about as close to Trump as you'd get, I think.
Yeah, and he was one of 3 presidents that the House of Representatives elected.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, New York Times building in New York City has been stormed by pro-Palestinian protesters who rioted and vandalized a police car. The pro-Palestinian rioters called for free Gaza and vandalized the police car with KKK on it. And we also saw them damage the White House gates and paint the stuff at the White House entry. So, I think only one person was arrested in that too, Shane.
Well, this is another sad example because they were also chanting, the death times.
Right.
But this is a newspaper during World War II, under the auspices of FDR, refused to write about or acknowledge the Holocaust. They knew it was happening, and they just refused to say anything about it. So here we are, 78 years later, and paper's the same, Thomas.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Well, Hunter Biden and his uncle James have been subpoenaed Wednesday by the Oversight Committee. As part of the request, the committee asked for James Biden's wife, Sarah Biden, as well as Hunter Biden's wife, Melissa Cohen, to sit for transcribed interviews. The panel also asked for interviews with Haley Biden, the widow of Beau Biden, and her sister, Elizabeth Skundy, I guess it is. I don't know.
And all of them have refused the subpoenas, and of course, as we said in the second block, regrettably, oh boy, Thomas. Oh.
Yeah. Panel's also requesting to speak with Tony Bobulinski, whom Hunter Biden's attorney have accused of lying to the FBI. And the release from Oversight Committee, James Comer, said he plans to send additional subpoenas and transcribes interviews requests later this week. So we'll see how that plays out here as we go along with this thing. It's going to be a mess.
Of course it will be.
Well, the first graders at a public school in Los Angeles were forced by their teachers to identify whether or not they were Jewish. Conservative pundit Dave Rubin said a fan had alerted him to the shocking incident that reportedly happened in the East Valley campus of Citizens of the World charter schools. Wow.
That's remarkable.
That's sad, isn't it? Yeah. The children were also provided lessons on genocide in what was supposed to be a math class. So there you go. Can't make this stuff up, Shane.
No confusion there, right?
Yeah. You just can't make this stuff up. So, and as we mentioned earlier, Elsie Stefanik she's going to file ethics complaint against Trump's trial judge. That happened on Friday, I think. The judge overseeing President Trump's civil fraud trial, claiming the judge has shown inappropriate bias and judicial temperance toward the former president and calling on him to resign. Arthur Engeron, I guess, has displayed a clear judicial bias against Trump and broken several rules in the state's judicial conduct code. So we'll talk more about that when we come back after the news. Hey, don't forget BozemanMagazine.com. You got to get over there and vote for Tom and Shane under Media and Info. We're under Media and Info. Go to BozemanMagazine.com. Click on the Bozeman's Choice at the black banner at the top of the page and enter some information, and nothing will happen to you. You won't get inundated with emails or advertising or anything like that. Nothing like that will happen to you. So get over there and vote. All our competition is on 5 days a week. We are the lone voice in the wilderness, so we need your vote badly. So we'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back, everyone. 27 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Saturday. It's November 11th, 2023. Tom Egeloff, your morning mayor in the house. Shane Taubman, Have Man, Have Amazing, is in Kamloops, Canada. We're happy to be with you this morning. And on this Veterans Day, celebrating our many people in the military, both men and women. Thank you very much for your service to our country. We really appreciate it very, very much. And the Cats are going to take on Eastern Washington at 1 p.m. out of the stadium today, so you want to tune in for that. It'll be on our sister station, XL Country, 100.7 on your FM dial. Well, Shane, Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Democrats' favorite Republican, on Thursday has moved to force a vote on impeaching Alejandro Mayorkas, the Homeland Security Secretary, who opened the turnstile at the border, I guess, Shane. So I don't know. So
it'll go nowhere. You need a 2/3 majority in the Senate.
Yeah.
And a 2/3 majority in the House, and
I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, no way. No. Nope, it's kind of a moot point, but it is symbolic at least, and I think a lot of people looking at the border would be happy to see him go.
I just, for some reason, and I don't know if I should say this or not, but I don't understand the lack of expressed concern by the American public overall.
Yeah, I know.
About this invasion of your country. I mean, you're talking in the last 4 years, 12 million people.
Yeah.
It's a staggering number, and it doesn't unless I guess something happens, and I don't expect it to, but I wouldn't be surprised because we know that thousands upon thousands of known terrorists have come into your country.
Well, we've caught a few, so if there's a few caught, there are several that didn't get caught.
Well, that's right.
So yeah. Well, in other news, unfortunately, a new report found that American households increased their total debt by $78 billion in the third quarter, and I think we're seeing that here in Bozeman, Belgrade, Livingston, in our area here. Study released Tuesday found the average amount of total debt owed by U.S. households at $145,000.
Well, the astonishing thing, because we've been following this for years, Thomas.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
They keep telling everybody that for the first time, American credit card debt went over $1 trillion. I don't know where they get this. But pre-COVID it was 1.7. And the money Americans got during COVID dropped it to 1.3. We remember talking about it? We were really impressed by the American public.
Yeah.
Trying to get, and they said it just went over $1 trillion, but it's 1.3 still. So where are these people's heads at? I mean, how short is their memory or lack of their knowledge? Okay, look, the bottom line is what's terrible about this is people are paying 18 to 24% interest on these credit cards.
Yeah. So
at least the government isn't putting interest on loans, student loans still. But this is a horrific thing, and it adds to inflation because those costs to the middle class prevent them from spending any money to enhance the economy. And so. It's one of these circles you get in these cycles that you have to pay attention to. I guess we're just the only show that pays attention.
I guess we are. From our app chat line, AM 1450 KMMS on your smartphone, the Tester radio commercials are comedy. He's holding the Biden administration accountable for the spy balloon. What a joke. I like that.
Yeah. The BBC last night with regards to that, they said alleged spy, Chinese spy.
Yeah, alleged spy. Yeah, I'm sure.
Because your government blew it up and it crashed, and so It's alleged.
Yeah. Talking about the Federal Reserve earlier, the Federal Reserve paused rate hikes on Wednesday, marking the end of 10 straight increases, which have driven borrowing costs above 5%, squeezing consumers and creating headwinds for the economy. Policymakers also said there may be 2 more hikes this year. I don't know if they're going to hike during Christmas, Shane. There's going to be enough inflation to go around over the next 6 weeks or so as we get into Thanksgiving and Black Friday and the Christmas season. And I fully expect that credit card debt to dramatically increase over that period, that I think a lot of people are going to resort to credit as opposed to buying stuff for cash. So it's
well, as I said
sad.
in that previous block, that I expect a 0.5, percent or a full percent raise in the Fed rate at the December meeting, which will be after all the Christmas purchasing people have done, and they have to, because your inflation's still double digits. I mean, we're talking 15 to 18%.
The real
Core
numbers. The real numbers out there, gas and food and everything aren't being kind to shoppers' pocketbooks. So,
no, it's horrific.
Well, despite the pause, Americans are unlikely to see any relief. A pause won't bring borrowing rates lower, particularly for variable rate debt such as credit cards and home equity lines of credit that have increased in step with the Fed's 10 previous interest rate hikes. Evaluated inflation and a strong labor market mean the Fed is nowhere close to cutting interest rates. So borrowers will continue to be dealing with high interest rates for months to come, even if the Fed doesn't hike rates further. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, Shane.
Well, the head of the Fed, Mr. Powell, is walking into the perfect storm with this commercial real estate issue in the first 3 months of next year, and $2 trillion in U.S. alone of commercial real estate needs to be refinanced, and who's going to do it? Literally, who is going to do it?
That's true. Well, Tuesday, municipal elections, the residents of West Yellowstone spoke loud and clear. They do not want pot shops in town. So, according to Gallatin County election results, 240 West Yellowstone residents voted to keep an existing ban in place, while 128 wanted to overturn it. The ban applies not only to retail stores, but grow operations, manufacturing facilities, and other related businesses. So.
They don't want it because they can refill their VAP needs online.
Yeah, there you go. Well, in Yellowstone County, the small town of Broadview voted 41-7 to similarly prohibit marijuana businesses within its boundaries. And in 2020, residents of Gallatin County, where West Yellowstone is situated, voted in favor of cannabis legalization. Any county where a majority of residents support legalization has a green light to permit recreational sales. Any county or town within a county could also ban the sales. So, I guess the West Yellowstone people are just going to have to drive up to Bozeman and get their high.
Which doesn't make any sense because, with the threat of pot being cut with that terrible drug coming into your country, you'd think that people would look at it from the standpoint of protecting people from overdosing on just smoking pot because it was laced. It's not a good thing, Thomas.
Yeah. Well, as we mentioned earlier, Joe Manchin, who's been kind of a thorn in the side of the Democrat Party, voting sometimes with the Republicans and sometimes, in favor of some things against others, says he's not going to seek re-election in 2024. Now, since he's not beholden to anybody, Shane, what's he going to do between now and 2024?
Well, I asked you on the last block about that. I'm glad you brought it up again because this is one of these things that could, really hurt the Democratic Party. Any third party is going to take votes away from the Democratic Party. That's just a matter of fact, and we'll see what happens. But the last time this happened, it was George Senior who got dinged, and the guy that started a third party took votes away from him, and at the time he was the most popular president in history because of the successful war in the Middle East with regards to Kuwait. So. Like you say, everything's on the table, right?
Yeah. A lot of people thought he would make some kind of a third-party run along with Kennedy, maybe. So maybe
he's the Romney and him, maybe. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they talked about that as well. That Romney and Manchin might go together. They also thought that Manchin might do a end run by himself. As a third-party candidate, but he completely has repeatedly declined, rather, that he's not up for that. So I guess we'll
you got the Libertarian Party, the Green Party, you have JFK, you've got that African-American professor, can't see the party. So you got 4 already that are out there. I mean, but normally, you look back and I look back and, there's always been smaller cases for the last 30 years of, 2 or 3 small parties that nobody pays attention to and didn't affect the election, which is sort of amazing.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what Tester does, too, because he's got, she's running against him, and Rosendale might jump into the race. Hasn't yet, at least as far as I know, he hasn't yet. But... anyway.
Yeah, but you've got both of those gentlemen ahead of him already, so.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I mean. He needs to do something between now and 24 to prop himself up. And, if in a tough election, he may go more center or right on some votes, depending on what it is, but.
Well, yeah, the big question for all of this is Iran. What will they do or continue to do, or more importantly, what will your president do? Because if something happens major, like that island off of Iran in the Persian Gulf, where you now have the Eisenhower aircraft carrier group, Krug Island, they take that out and. It's a terminal 25 miles off the coast. Iran's gone. I mean, or worse, take out the Ayatollah in Qum with one of your Moabs. Mother of all bombs there, Thomas.
There you go. From our text line, 478-8298, I was just off the phone with a Vietnam vet friend, and he said there's a pro-Palestine march scheduled today in Bozeman. You guys know anything about this? I haven't heard anything about a march from anything.
On Veterans Day.
But it wouldn't surprise me at all because Bozeman is well known to jump on any left-wing cause and march down the street with whatever placards they can come up with. So if this is true, it's a slap in the face of all veterans. The slice the budget by a nickel, drill baby drill. I forgot the third thing, what Shane suggested to handle the debt.
Those are the primary two. Yeah. The third thing is you just can't increase the Fed rate. That's just disaster.
Yeah. I'd laugh when I hear Aaron Flint call Tester flip-flop flat top. So
that's amazing. Well, that expression came out of the 60s with naval pilots, right? They that flat cut on the top of their head, because they flew off a flat top, so that's what they did.
Can we learn to pronounce the names of countries? Not Iran, it's Iran. Not Italy, it's Italy. I didn't think we had a problem pronouncing Italy. Iran, either one. Yeah.
It's like Kiev, which you hear nothing about anymore.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that incredible? I mean, 5 weeks, and who's done a story on Ukraine? Nobody, not a word. People people are still dying. They're still fighting, and you're coming into the 15th year of the war, and 15 years. Wow.
Yeah. One of the things that happened in this country is that when politicians found out they can print money at will and nothing happens, it gave permission to all of those who don't want to work on it. So.
Well, that's not exactly true. What happened was you went off the gold standard to utilize debt as a form of funding your government. And regrettably, that's Nixon you have to look to, because he's the one who did it.
Yeah. West doesn't want pot, but has a bar on every corner. I wonder if the bar owners are afraid. Yeah, maybe prohibition is next in West Yellowstone.
Yeah, I used to laugh about going through Montana. And there's every little town you went through, you were sure to find two places: a bar and a post office.
Yeah.
Now they're worried about a pot shot.
Yeah. I always wanted to meet Jane Fonda so I could punch her in the face. That's from Jay. Or from Gay. I'm sorry, Gay. Oh, let's see. This is Jeff. I sent my last text a little prematurely and didn't really get my point. I didn't want to give bad protesters a pass, but I thought it would be important to compare what was really going on in our country at the time. Basically, the troops were forced to participate in an immoral war. Well, I was there. I didn't see anything immoral about it. The American citizens were fed a plate full of lies, especially from Kissinger. Yeah, I would go along with that. What's even worse, the troops were lied to about how they would be taken care of by the healthcare system. Well, I don't know. I use the VA healthcare system here locally and in Helena. It's been pretty good to me. It's nice that we have a holiday memorializing our troops. I think they need to be supported every day, and I would agree with that. So I think Christmas, we should keep the Christmas spirit year-round, but we don't. So there you go. Whew.
It's a good one, babe.
Rocking and rolling here.
It's a good one.
Okay. Oh, let's see. Credit card debt has hit a new record, and delinquencies are also on the rise. Americans are increasingly turning to credit cards to cover everyday expenses, with debt hitting new record high at the end of September. In the 3-month period from July to September, total credit card rate surged to $1.8 trillion, Shane, an increase of $48 billion or 4.6% from the previous quarter. And there's also a uptick in borrowers who are struggling with credit card, student loan, and auto payments debt. As of September, about 3% of outstanding debt was in some stage of delinquency, up from about 2.7% recorded the previous quarter, but still down from the average 4.7% seen before the COVID-19 pandemic arose.
Yeah, the problem with credit card debt is in your country per household is over $8,000. So people are paying like $1,600 a year in interest.
Yeah, it's 20 and 25% or whatever. So credit card delinquencies continue to rise from their pre-pandemic era lows in the third quarter, and the number of newly delinquent individuals has actually surpassed the typical pre-pandemic level. The flow of debt moving into delinquency hit 1.28% in the third quarter compared to 0.94% during the same period a year ago. The increase was also pronounced among individuals between the age of 30 and 39.
Ouch.
So there you are. The New York Fed said the increase could reflect a loosening of tightening standards over the past few years, an overextension by lenders and borrowers, or a sign of financial troubles at home amid ongoing inflation and high interest rates. And yeah, I'd say yes to all those things, Shane. That the rates are just off the charts. So,
well, there's 1,200 public companies in your country, and over 85% are down at least 20% in the last 2 years, and 50% are down over 50% in the last 2 years. So this is across the board problem, and there's no way of trying to unexplain it. That's just what's happening. People just don't want to talk about it.
Well, the unemployment rate rose to 3.9% in October, reflecting 348,000 fewer people reporting they had jobs in the Department of Labor Statistics Household Survey, and an additional 146,000 saying they couldn't find work to 6.5 million. 416,000 left the labor force altogether as the labor participation rate dipped to 62.7 amid continued demographic shifts of the aging population, but also individuals giving up on looking for work altogether, Shane. So.
But this is a falsehood. Pre-COVID employment was, it's now at par. 162 million Americans are employed. And it doesn't account for 15 million undocumented workers. And we know, we've talked about it for 12 years, going on 12 years in May, 3%, economists say is full employment. So,
yeah,
this is an effort as a talking point to get away from the dark shadow of where the economy is at.
Is it me, or did Trump win the third debate and he didn't even attend? I think some of the pundits said, yeah, he was the big winner because they all pretty well self-destructed. Haley and DeSantis at least are still treading water, but I think the other ones really did themselves in badly.
Well, apparently this last week, DeSantis's organization commented that his biggest donor has walked away from him and said that there's no point in me supporting you anymore because Trump's going to be the nominee. So money talks, baby.
A dozen
BS walks, right? Isn't that what they say in Montana?
That's right. A dozen LLC shell corporations set up to launder money. Around 100 suspicious bank activity reports. Statement from Burisma officials saying the Bidens demanded $10 million for a pay-to-play. Around $30 million uncovered so far in the oversight committee that went to the Bidens, and the libs ask, where is the evidence? When the various members of the Biden crime family are questioned in the forthcoming testimonials, first question I would ask, where did all the $1 million come from and for what?
Now, we have time, and I want to make a tribute to you. I thank the Lord Jesus every day for bringing me into your life. You're my best friend, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity we've shared for coming up, as I said, on 12 years.
Yeah.
And, I never say it enough, and today I get to say it with pride and honor and salute you. Thank you for your service, and I really appreciate the picture of you in Vietnam you posted on my Facebook page. I shared it with all my friends and family. And it's my honor to be able to say to you as often and never enough, welcome home, my good man, Thomas. All Eagle right. Man, Eagle Hoff.
Well, thank you so much, Shane. The show is so much better since you joined it permanently. You get the texters riled up, which is a good thing, which brings in a lot of listeners, and we really appreciate that. So say goodbye real quick, and
be happy, be safe, everyone. God bless you, Thomas. You're a great American.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for us, folks. Thanks so much for being with us. Don't forget, Eastern Washington is at the stadium at 1 o'clock. That'll be on our sister station, 100.7 XL Country. And also, don't forget, BozemanMagazine.com. Get over and vote for Tom and Shane. Go to BozemanMagazine.com. Up on the black banner, you'll see Bozeman Choice. Click on that and vote for Tom and Shane in info and media, or media and info, one of the two. I forget which one it is. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much. We really appreciate you guys so much spending your time with us. You could be doing a bunch of other things, but we really appreciate you hanging out with us each week. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Thanks to Shane. I am out of here.